Oh, that is wonderful. I can see a sweet angel who's just popped up on our screens. Can you all see Judy? Everyone? Yeah, good, good, good. Okay, so a very warm welcome to each and every one of you. And congratulations to all of you who are joining us from every part of the world. So, very warm welcome on this lovely Tuesday morning that is in London. Just to remind you again, please make sure you have a notebook, pen, and a nice hot or cold drink if you wish, but definitely you need a notebook and a pen for this session. And like I said, if you're joining us for the first time, just write the name of the country, just say new, and then the name of the country. So I know who are new, and then I can send you all the links and everything to subscribe to once if you wish to. Is that okay? Also, now going through the format, basically we're going to have 1 hour's talk. Um, there could be things that she would ask, a speaker would ask you to do, and that's fine. Then after an hour, we will take your questions. So you will write your questions in the chat box and I will read them out to Judy. Is that okay? Remember, please keep your questions related to the topic. Of course, it's a very big topic. So yeah, please do that and keep them brief. And do not mix comments, statements with questions, because it's hard for me to scroll down the list. Okay, so we have a fantastic topic today, the magic of contentment. You know, like everyone's been sharing here over this last so many weeks, we've all experienced the feeling of contentment. Yes, that's a state of being happy and satisfied. But why are we not always able to remain like that all the time? This is the question. Would that not be magical if we were continuously like that? How wonderful would life be? So, to explore this further, we have a very inspirational speaker for you, all the way from Halifax, Canada, thanks to Zoom. And I say this is one of the blessings of COVID pandemic, that we can all get together on Zoom. So her name, you can see this angel. Her name is Judy Johnson. I think many of you have read her books, but I do also know that lots of you don't know her so well. So let me just tell you a little bit about Judy. So Judy has been a student and teacher of the Brahma Kumaris for over 25 years. She coordinates the activities of the BKs in Halifax, Canada. For the last 35 years, Judy has worked as a facilitator and coaching consultant in experiential learning, leadership development, and organizational effectiveness. She works with government, private, and community-based organizations internationally and locally. She is a wonderful communicator and a very powerful author. She started writing, I think, just over 7 years ago, and her many, many books include the first one I think she wrote with her two daughters, and it's called The Seven Secrets of the Universe. And there are lots of other books, Beautiful Thoughts, Return to Source, The God Experience, which I think was lovely. That was one of the first books I had read of Judy's. Living, and my absolute favorite is Living as Art, 16 Celestial Degrees, which is what we talk about, stages of different aspects of your perfection. Alphabet series, that's a lovely one, which I haven't read yet. Virtues A to Z. I think that sounds amazing. And she has just published her new book, Soul Series, which I can see manifesting in many, many volumes. Now, I will send all this information out with the recordings to everyone who has subscribed, okay? So now, without more ado, let us give a very, very warm Tuesday morning, warm welcome to Judy. Welcome, Judy. Over to you.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Madhvi. What a wonderful, warm way to start the day. I mean, for me, it's 6:30 here in the morning, so I'm starting my day. What a beautiful, and I know for most of you, it's mid-morning. Those in other parts of the world, it's probably late afternoon. So thank you for joining, and thank you, Madhvi, for inviting me to this gathering. I can feel already how nourishing it is to be together. So I'm here in Halifax. It's still a little bit dark outside, so I've got some glaring lights on here. Hope that's okay with everyone. And as Madhvi said, I've been studying with the BKs now for 25 years. And this topic for me, it touches my heart so much, because when I think about contentment and I think about the people I know who are content, there's about 3 people on that list that I could say, and that's not the our ancestor souls, our daddies and our seniors here, just of the people I know. I would put 3 people on that list, and guess what? I'm not on that list. So this contentment topic is really of interest to me. So today what I'd like to do is just share some of the discoveries I've had in relation to this theme of contentment. So I want to share with you a couple of slides, because when I was thinking about the magic of contentment, I don't know much about magic, but I do love this wands imagery that you have on all of your logos, your materials. And I was thinking about magic, and I watched a show once. I can't remember what it was called, but they explained the 3 different steps in any magic act. And apparently the first step is the setup. So they get the audience kind of intrigued with what they're going to do. And then the second step, which I think is the most interesting one, is the redirection step, where they redirect your attention somewhere else so that the magician can do whatever they need to do, slip the card from behind the deck, or there's always some technical thing that the magician does. And then the third step is the big reveal. Suddenly, poof, the person's been cut in half, or, the rabbit comes out of the hat. And you didn't notice where that rabbit came from, because the skill was in the second step of redirecting. So when I was thinking about my experience of contentment with the Brahma Kumaris, I actually think this is very, very much how it's happened for me, is that I got this great introduction to contentment, initial first waves of happiness that came when I encountered the Brahma Kumaris and I had my first spiritual experiences. But for the last 25 years, I would say I've been in the redirect phase, step number 2 of the magic act. So every day paying attention to my study, daily study, attention to daily meditation practice, morning and evening, stopping every hour or so just to reconnect and reset myself during the day. All of these things, including being here with you. My life is full of all these wonderful practices and activities that I'm going to say are basically the redirect step of the magic act. Because what I've noticed is from time to time, a rabbit appears. And I don't know where that rabbit came from, because I was so busy studying, meditating, doing all my things, that slowly what's happening behind the scenes is the magician, in this case God, is doing what needs to be done in order for this contentment to magically appear. So I would say I go along on a day-to-day basis, not really. I would say happiness is there, but I wouldn't say contentment is always there. which is why I'm not on my own short list of 3 people who I consider content. But that's because I think the process is such that while I'm being redirected to study and do these things, what's happening is the rabbit's getting ready to come out of the hat, and every now and then I'll see it. So that's just a starting point for my experience of contentment. And what I'd like to share is some of the secrets that I've discovered, what's happening in this redirection phase. So let's check in with you, because I know I can't really see you, but I'm looking at you, imagining all your beautiful faces. But I can see the chat box. So I'm going to ask you right now to take a moment and just think about who in your world would you say is content? I said I only have 3 people, and actually it's probably 2.5, but let's say. So just think any of the faces of contentment, and it could be your cat if you have one. They do seem to do contentment quite well. Don't have to chat box any of this, but just think for a moment, anyone in your life. But this one, I'd love you to have just a little self-check and think about your own level of contentment. I'm going to say the blue smiley face is the low end of this continuum of contentment, and the green face would be the high end. So let's say 1 is the low end, 10 is the high end. Where would you place yourself? Give yourself a number, sort of generally, what's your level of contentment? But you can't choose 5 because that's not choosing. Okay, so it could be 4 if you're on the other side, the low end of this scale, or it could be 6 if you're reasonably content. You're not discontent. So you can think for a moment and pop into the chat box. There's a 6, wonderful. 7, lovely, Marla. 6, 7. Yeah, I'd probably put myself in the 7 category as well. 7, lovely. Hopeful. That's great, Tanvir. I'm a hopeful. 6, 7, okay, I see a 4. 8, lovely. We have secrets to learn from you. Wonderful. Okay, another 8 from Salva. Davao is here. Welcome, Davao. So nice. I see Makati in Philippines. Oh, how lovely to have such friends here today. Lovely to see you all. Know you're here anyways. Okay, so that was a quick self-check. Thank you for playing along with that. So why is it that our contentment isn't there all the time? I think most of us know, but I'm going to start with some of the secrets that I have discovered about contentment. Oh, before we go there, quick question. Is this even a desirable aim for you? This is actually a key question, because I know here at the Meditation Center, the people that come and discover that, oh, contentment is one of our aims, it's certainly my aim. It's a very desirable aim for me. But the people that come to the Meditation Center, I find they're not actually really interested in contentment, partly because they seem to really enjoy the roller coaster ride of high emotions and low emotions. And for them, contentment, they associate it with flatlining, with being dead. You know, if I wasn't having a big high or a big low, then I wouldn't be alive. And I think that's a very interesting thing to consider, because for me, it was one of the early obstacles I noticed to my own willingness to embrace contentment, that I was actually internally, in a subconscious way, resisting contentment because I was afraid it would be comfort zone. I got the two mixed up. I got comfort zone, sort of being lazy and sitting on the couch all day, mixed up with contentment. I had the wrong association with contentment. But I know many people who come to the center they actually associate contentment with flatlining, with being dead, and they would rather have the roller coaster. So I ask you now, is this a desirable aim? Because it's really when it's a desirable aim that it will naturally start emerging. It's been my experience anyways. A little more rabbits coming out of my hat since I have faced my fear of the comfort zone and embraced a really deep desire for contentment. And I would say Tanvir, steady mind and love in my heart, wonderful definition of contentment. Beautiful. So yes, that's high on your list as a desirable aim. Very nice. I did a session once called emotional resilience, and I've studied resilience for a number of years professionally. And I couldn't understand. So what would emotional resilience be? Is that being strong emotionally? And I discovered in the research for the session that, we have all of these emotions all day. And in one day, we can have these plus many more. And what I had the group do, which I won't have you do, I had them I called out every one of these emotions. So I said happy. And when I said happy, everyone had to stand up out of their chairs. So everybody got up out of their chair. And then I said, okay, angry, I'll sit down. So everybody sat down. And I said, surprised, stand up. Everybody stood up. Sad, sit down, sit down. So we did this for about 3 minutes, and people were up and they were down and they were up and they were down and they were up and they were down. And at the end, I asked, how do you feel? Exhausted. Exactly. So that's what the emotional roller coaster does for us, is it exhausts us. It's pretty hard to be content when you're exhausted. So one of the keys is I have to sort of face my love of the roller coaster of high drama and emotions and make this my aim. I want to be content. So let's explore some of the secrets of contentment. And one of the first ones, which I'm sure you would have heard at some point in your connection with the Brahma Kumaris, is that contentment is actually innate. It's inside of me all the time already. It's not something I have to work for. And thank you to Anthea Church. Madhvi was talking about the 16 Degrees book, the Living as Art book that I wrote with my friend and colleague here, Debbie Castle, who's also studying with the BKs. And the book, the reason I love the book and the reason many love the book is that Anthea Church's writings are throughout the book. She gave me full permission to include her writings. And one of the most beautiful things she's written about is the Art of Contentment. And she describes it as an underground river whose course just cannot be daunted. And of course, if that's true, if contentment is in fact constantly flowing like an underground river in me, then why is it I don't feel it every day? Why is it I'm not constantly content? So secret number one is that contentment is there. The next secrets are going to be about what I have to do to stay in touch with contentment, to allow it to come into my awareness. Because what happens is most of us are living life on the surface level. So while this river is running freely underground all the time, 24/7, inside of me, I'm actually spending most of my awareness, my conscious time at the surface level. And at the surface level, there's noise. People are pounding, throwing trash into the river, making noise. Surface level is noisy. And in particular for us as beings of consciousness, beings of awareness, as souls, the things we pay attention to in life are going to draw our awareness away from this naturally flowing inner rhythm. One of them, so I'm just going to share 3 really simple ones. And these came from Sister Janti gave a wonderful class at the start of the year, actually, about contentment. She was revising our regular morning class here. And one of the things she said was the insecurity inside of each of us leads us to greed. I want more. It'll make me feel more secure, even if that's more friends, more nice experiences, more amazing meditation experiences. The energy of greed, comparison, comparing myself to others, competition and jealousy. They create discontentment inside of me. This is surface level awareness. And of course, this kind of awareness multiplies the negativity that's in me. I'm not going to linger long on these negative ones because I think we all know these. These are the things that steal my contentment, that steal my awareness away from the natural underground river. Second one, big one. When I'm not taking responsibility for myself, then my finger is pointing out there. And, you know, Daddy Janky used to do this and say, where are these fingers pointing? Well, they're pointing back at me. So
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Judy, I was just going to say, if we talk about Sister Jayanti and Dadi Janki, you need to just mention who they are because we got
okay.
lots of newcomers and people who are not PKs. Thank
Oh,
you.
lovely. Okay. So Sister Janti is one of our really most beautiful and senior teachers, and she's located in London, but she's responsible for all the Brahma Kumari's activities in the Europe and the Middle East, and is now an administrative head of the organization. And Daddy Janki was the administrative head of the Brahma Kumaris, one of our most senior and beloved sisters, older sisters, an elder who has taught many of us, who've shared her wisdom with so many of us, that she lives in our hearts, even though she left her body a couple of years ago. And she was, those in London would know her very, very well because she was there so often. So I hope that's okay for the rest of you. So not taking responsibility for myself. Lame really makes me discontent. It's one of those things. And of course, when I am discontent, the lens through which I look at the world just begins to see problems everywhere because my own inner agitation. So discontent is really like it's energetic agitation in the soul. Can be expressed as restlessness, boredom, the other things, greed, comparison, etc. But I am not going to linger there because I actually think we know a fair amount about discontentment. So we're not going there. We're going to go to the secrets. So secret number one, though, is that naturally contentment flows inside of me like a river. Secret number two is one of the things that I have found is part of our redirection in the magic act. I need to pay attention to my happiness on a day-to-day basis because happiness is like a signpost. It's a signal for me that I'm on track, that I'm on track at the surface level, that my awareness, my attention, my actions, my words are actually going in a direction that will keep me in tune with contentment. It will keep me close to my underground river. So happiness is kind of like the most obvious signal of contentment, that I'm staying close to my contentment. So happiness is secret number two. This is where you're going to need your pencil and your piece of paper, because I'm going to have you do a little activity here. So secret number one, contentment's in me all the time. Secret number two, happiness is a signpost that I'm staying close so that I can feel and experience that inner river that's flowing through me. Then I need to be tracking my happiness. I actually have to know what makes me truly happy, not temporarily happy. I think we all know some of the fixes we use, some of the temporary things we use to bring that sense of happiness. And they're short-lived, and usually they cause problems for me. Everything from comfort eating, you know, putting that thing in my mouth because in that moment, gives me a sense of fulfillment, Something fills the hole in the soul, but it's actually quite temporary. And now I've added weight to the body. Say, one example, shopping, internet, movies, anything. We all know what it is that we use. And if we don't, it's time to know it, because it steals my happiness, although it gives me temporary happiness. But so I must know what makes me happy. And this is the redirection part. This is the thing we stay occupied with in our life so that we stay close to the river of contentment. I have to learn to keep an accurate account of what comes in terms of happiness, so that I can notice what's increasing my happiness, and I can master, I can take care of those things that reduce my account of happiness. So I kind of have to be a bit of an accountant, and I have to pay attention to my happiness account, and I have to notice, where are the debits and where are the credits? Where am I adding? What is it that I'm involved in? Oh, I see Priya's having trouble hearing. Uh-oh. Is this true for others? Do I need to get closer to my mic? Or is it just Priya needs to do something? Priya, there you go. Anyways, audio's clear. Thank you. Okay, so I'll stay close to my microphone. Sound is great. Okay, thank you. Okay, Priya, I hope you have to figure it out. So this is something I have to do. I have to keep track of my happiness account. Okay, so that's secret number 2. If happiness is my biggest indicator, then I have to pay attention to it. So here's the activity we're going to do. I'm going to ask you to reflect, and with your pen and your paper, I'm going to ask you to just quickly do a list of the 10 things that make you happy.
Sorry, I was just going to say, hang on. I was just going to say that if there is any problem with the sound or something, rest assured I'll be, I'll pop in, okay?
Okay, thank you, Mikey. Thank you. So with your pen and your paper, if you can, just take a moment and do a quick list. 10 things that make you happy. Go. Okay, hoping you've got a list. Everyone got a list of 10. You don't have to share these. And I don't know about you, but I think I could have come up with 10 very quickly before COVID. And I think I already have a short list. I have a shorter list now of things that make me happy, because lots of things have been removed from the list. But just have a look at your list. I know for me, tea, it's just a cup of tea actually was top of my list. Being with friends, all these kinds of things could be on your list as well as mine. Now I'd like you to review your list of 10, and I want you to create a short list of 5. So the top 5, the things that make you truly happy. So underline the top 5 on your list. Okay, you with me? Got your top 5? Just a thumbs up. We'll see how you're doing. Hopefully that's not too hard to do. Your top 5. So we're talking about happiness here, not contentment. Happiness, just happiness. What makes you happy? Truly happy. Okay. So now I want you to look at this list of 5, because already we've begun to be an accountant and we're beginning to discern the difference between what makes me truly happy and happy. Okay, because you were forced to choose. So let's just look at this list for a moment. And I'd like you to think about what are the qualities you experience or express in yourself during those situations. So whatever you've written on your list. So for me, having a cup of tea. Usually I'm staring out the window. I'm very peaceful. I'm often reflective. And I guess because I've made time for tea, I feel free. It's like time out. I feel free. So those would be an example of some of the qualities I am experiencing in myself or expressing during that time. Peace, freedom, and I guess reflection. So take a look at your list of 5 and write next to them any of the qualities that you experience during that situation. So of your 5 things that make you happy, what quality are you experiencing during that? Of course, happiness, but what other qualities are you experiencing at that time? Okay, and I'll just leave you alone with that for a minute to reflect. Okay, so we're beginning to see there are different qualities, yeah? Many of you may have the spending times with friends, and for me, when I'm with friends and I'm having meaningful conversation, what I experience in myself is trust, actually, and respect and love. So, that's, I want you to know these qualities because it's going to be connected to secret number 3. Okay. So it's important that we know the qualities we are experiencing in ourselves when we are happy. Okay. So I'm trusting. Are you finished with that? Okay. Because I have a couple more questions for you before we move on. So yes, I'm seeing some in the chat box. Lovely. And there might be some nice surprises there for you. In your top 5, what are the qualities you experience in yourself? Feel free to put those in the chat box if you would like. It's a nice way for us to get to know each other, and especially those that are here all the time. So any qualities you experience in yourself during, in those moments when you are experiencing happiness. So yes, peace seems to be one of them. I know when I walk on the beach, I experience, it's like feeling fresh. I guess that's purity, but like freshness, silence, nice. I also feel powerful when I walk on the beach, and I feel free and I feel unlimited. So all of these, I mean, we need these words. Having these words is really helpful. Lovely, lovely to see these words. These are your own qualities, right? That you're experiencing in those moments of happiness, grateful and blessed, beautiful. When your family and with your children, what's the quality you're experiencing inside yourself? Clarity of mind, lovely, angelic, which is what? Subtle, loveful, benevolent, gratitude, lovely. These are the things we're feeling, we're experiencing when we're happy. Okay. Being healthy, lovely. Serene, sweet. I feel sweet, lovely. I feel joyful, strength, blissful, strong. Fantastic. Okay, now these words are going to be very, very important when we get to secret number 2. And somebody asked that I repeat secrets 1 and 2, or number 3. When we repeating number 1 secret is contentment is an underground river that flows inside me at all times. It's naturally there. Secret number 2, happiness is the signpost, the signal that I'm on track, that I'm staying close to my inner river of contentment. Okay, so we're exploring happiness because I need to be an accountant and notice what makes me truly happy and what doesn't make me happy, because I need to monitor this if I'm going to stay on track with contentment. Okay, so here we go. Another quick question. Look at your list of 5. Which of these activities requires the fewest props? So the fewest external supports. So my cup of tea, which is top of my list, actually requires a cup and a kettle and a tea bag. So that's three props, shall we say. Walking on the beach requires, well, probably a car and the beach, but 2. Friends requires, so just look at your list. I mean, I think COVID has really helped us shrink the number of props we're reliant upon. You know, that my list of happy things might have included, you know, going to movies or restaurants or bars or, you know, to the Midway, the fair, all of these things that are very prop intensive. COVID has really been a gift to most of us in that it's shrunk the number of props we require to be happy. In fact, I think COVID's really helped us notice what really makes me happy. And it's so small. They're very small things. Would you say that's true for all of you as a general principle during this COVID time? So just a note to self, look at your list, which require fewer props. And I'm going on the assumption that we all need fewer props now because we've got through this 1.5 years of COVID. All right, last question on this reflection. Great, no props required for Shirley. Wonderful. All right, so last one, here we go. Which one? Tough choice. Look at your list of 5. Which one, which thing on your list do you experience the most happiness? I'd like you to circle that one, please. And this one we can put in the chat box. Because we know it's not really the cup of tea, it's the reflection, the freedom and the peace. But I'm going to put my cup of tea on the list for me. Being alive. Oh, it's a good one. Happy I'm alive. Being with myself. Lovely. So in whatever, it's not even the activity that matters, is it? Could be meditation, could be the cup of tea, like for me. Yeah, lovely. So pick the one, and you'll know then what's most important for you. Oh dear, Sandhya, a sunny day. Oh, bless you. I hope you don't live in the UK where there is lack of sun on many, many days. A little bit like here, we have a lot of rain and gray here. Lovely, being grateful. Okay. So, being in the garden. Thank you, Sharon. And probably because you know what you're experiencing when you're in the garden, right? Probably experiencing a lot of beauty inside yourself, a lot of joy. Lovely. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. So this is secret number 2, keeping track. You're in Melbourne now, but your home is Mauritius. So of course there's lots of sun there. And in Melbourne, thank you. To be in the woods and in the nature, Monique, and of course, understanding what you experience there. Besides happiness, there's a lot of other things, right? Okay, thank you. So this is secret number 2, that I need to keep track of what makes me happy, because it is a signal that I am on track with my underground river of contentment. Now remember, this is magic, and the magic trick is introduction. Second step, redirection. I need to pay attention to all of these things, because then the rabbit comes out of the hat. Contentment's just there. Oh, puff. Where did that come from? That rabbit. Well, it was always there. I just didn't see it because I was busy taking care of these other things. And the thing I can take care of, because it's visible to me, it's above ground, is my happiness. That's why I need to track my happiness. What gets in the way and what makes me truly happy. So that's secret number 2. All good? It's funny not being able to see faces, but I'm gonna guess it's all good. I'm gonna give you now secret number 3. Of course, this is just from my experience. Number 3, and this is very much connected to the qualities you just identified in yourself. So these qualities, it is my understanding that contentment is really all about coming home to myself. And this is why it's important to track my happiness, because behind all of my thoughts, all of my words, all of my actions, all of my interactions, there is a drive inside of me, something that is seeking to be satisfied. That I am most discontent when I am not satisfying this deep drive. And what is that deep drive? That deep drive inside of you, inside of me, is to experience my true self, to be me. This deep drive, when it is satisfied, I'm very content. When I'm awakened to this, to my inner essence, then all of my actions, my thoughts, my words, my activities throughout the day will line up with my deepest self, and I will be content. I will be one of these faces of contentment. Thus, the importance of meditation. Thus, the importance of journaling and reflection. I would suggest for the one who's journaling, have a conversation with yourself. Ask yourself important questions like, how am I feeling right now? Why? Have conversations with yourself to get beneath the surface of constant chatter that's always going in my mind to a deeper level, where I begin to awaken my true self, my inner essence. Because when I'm awakened to that, which is what we do here with the Brahma Kumaris, we learn about who I am. I am this beautiful being. I am full of love and peace and power and all these virtues. And they just get crowded out by the noise of all the other thoughts that are coming from conditioned parts of me, that are coming from the noise of the world around me, from some of my weaknesses and habits. That's not who I am. That's what's going on inside of me. They're different. Who I am is different from all that noise. So as I begin to awaken to who I really am, then I begin to only do those things that feel like a natural expression of who I am. And then I'm consistent and I begin to do only those things that make me happy. Why? Because I know what makes me happy and I'm not willing to compromise on my happiness because it's actually who I am. So the final secret, secret number 3, is this: the soul is naturally content and needs nothing external to create contentment. In fact, nothing external or material can make me, the soul, content. Nothing. The more I try to use external things to fill the hole in the soul, the more entrapped I will become in things that then require my attention. And it ends up being a bit like a bondage or a habit or something I need a dependency. So nothing external or material can make me content, but what can make me content is an accurate expression of who I really am. So at the end of the day, excuse me, contentment is an expression of deep satisfaction in the soul. When at the end of the day, I have lived this day true to myself, that feeling of satisfaction brings me to sit right by the side of the river of contentment that flows inside me every day, all the time. Expression of deep satisfaction in the soul. This is contentment, staying on track with myself. By tracking my happiness, what makes me happy, what steals my happiness, and to make sure that I'm accumulating moments, activities, events, actions, thoughts, and feelings that create happiness for myself. And I'm minimizing those activities, thoughts, words, and actions that are stealing my happiness. So at the end of the day, I can be with myself and satisfied with myself. So what I would like to do, there are possibly going to be some questions, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to offer you a moment to absorb this. Just have a look at your list and to remember the 3 secrets. 1, contentment is an underground river. It's always there. 2, happiness, tracking my happiness is the way to stay close to that river, to stay on track. And 3, contentment is actually an expression of myself, my true self. That the drive to fulfill is being satisfied. And the deepest drive in the soul is the drive to be myself and to express my fundamental nature, which is why the qualities you experience when you're happy are so important to know. Because those qualities are, in fact, you. Those are the qualities of the soul, the true self. So that is you, and that is going to seek, that's going to drive to be expressed. That is the deep drive inside of you that requires expression. I know for myself, drinking tea. Okay, but what am I doing when I'm drinking tea? Often I'm imagining or I'm churning And that's why writing has been so important for me. It's actually a way to be creative. It's a natural expression of what I'm learning. And by writing it down, I actually get greater clarity. I know Mike George and I have talked about this often. Why are we writing? It's not really for others. It's for me, because I get greater clarity every time I attempt to put something very profound and very deep and big. Every time I attempt to put it in words, and I write daily thoughts every day, pretty substantive daily thoughts that come from our morning class here. And yes, it benefits others. People love receiving the daily thoughts. In fact, that's why one of the books was written, because somebody said, I want to send this to my mom, or I want to send this to my partner, but they'd never, ever receive it on email. So if you could just put them in a book, please, then I could just give them the book and then they'd have that for Christmas. And I said, great, send me your favorites. So about 40 people who received the daily thoughts on a daily basis sent me their 20 favorite thoughts. And together that all added up to, 365 plus or minus a few. And it went out to people. But those daily thoughts were not created for that purpose, although they serve that purpose. They were created because I needed a way to experience and express one of my deepest qualities is clarity. I love clarity. I feel happiest when I am clear inside, when I know what I'm about, when I understand the situation I'm in and what's going on there, and especially when I understand spiritual wisdom that I'm studying every day. So clarity is actually the drive of this soul, and that drive is seeking expression all the time. And I'm at my most content. It's a funny thing to say, but when I have written a paragraph, one tiny paragraph of words that expresses something deep and a bit elusive, that expresses it clearly, it's just in that moment I breathe a sigh of relief, and it's like I am internally so content that I could just sit there for a few minutes. And usually I do. I just sit there and enjoy the moment. But the drive demands expression, and I'm off to another one. So anyways, that's all part of the story of the drive needing to express itself. So that's mine. And good for you to reflect on what is yours, especially knowing the qualities you experience when you're happy. That's why that exercise was really important to do. Yes, I'm happy. I know what makes me happy, but what else am I experiencing when I'm happy? That's going to be the inner drive that you need to express. So paying attention to that. So before I turn it back to Madhvi for questions, what I brought is 4 kind of blessings, 4 inspirations, I guess, for you. So I'd like, if I could, just to take a moment and do just a little bit of deep reflection, a little meditation. And then I'd like to give you each one of these inspirations custom fit for you to help you stay close to that inner river of contentment, which is flowing inside of you. So if that's okay, Madhvi, I'm just going to do kind of a moment of silence and
It's fine.
meditation.
Lovely.
I know we have 2 or 3 minutes here before we go into Q&A. So, and I'm definitely happy to share with you the, anybody who would like to be on the Daily Thoughts list from here. And I can also put Madhvi on the Daily Thought list, and she can share them with the mailing list. It might be the easiest way to go about this, but and I'll definitely send you Madhvi's asked that I send a link to all the books. They're all available on Amazon, so I can send links for all of those very easily. And we're producing another Daily Thought book for Christmas as a gift, and it will be available on Amazon, partly because the Daily Thought people have written to me and said, this COVID year, boy, those Daily Thoughts have been extra special this last year. So we're taking the favorites from last year, and we're going to create another book for Christmas gift this year as well. So we will gather all those things we need. Don't you worry. And I will send the PowerPoint for anybody who would like to use it in their center if they would like to have this conversation in whatever BK center you're in. So you'll get absolutely everything you need to support your continued journey here with contentment. But for this moment, if you can just set aside all those desires and wishes and just enjoy for a moment the deep contentment of having made the choice to be here today. So if you'll join me in this, just hands free, hands away from pens or typing, hands away from thoughts and minds away from, I need this, requesting that, just hands free. If you can sit for a moment and close your eyes so nothing externally will draw your attention just for this brief moment. Although we practice open-eyed meditation, sometimes we begin by just making it very conscious to close my eyes and come inside my inner world. And let's begin just with a deep breath. Hold it and release very slowly. One more deep breath. You can feel your body grounding, hey, and you can feel your mind wherever it's been, release, just coming back to the awareness of your own body. And just be aware right now of the tactile experience of your body against the chair you're in. Feel the definition of your body against the chair. All of this is to bring you out of the flying thoughts that go here and there and bringing your awareness, grounding it in the body, giving a little attention to the body. Let it relax. I'm going to ask you now if you can feel or hear your own heartbeat. Okay, I think you'll notice that this has concentrated your awareness now. Bring that concentrated awareness up from your heart now, up to the forehead, behind the eyes, to that room in your head, inside the brain where the soul resides in the human body. I'm going to ask you to just be aware of yourself as a sparkling being of spiritual light. Visualize a tiny star sparkling behind the eyes. That's what we see sparkling in the eyes, is the soul. I'd like you just to remember those moments of happiness. You're wiser now. Maybe you didn't know before, but you definitely know now. Maybe you always knew what makes you happy. I'd like you just to take a moment and experience, remember the experience of being happy. And those small activities that help you experience your own happiness inside. And with each breath of the body, I would like you to sink into happiness. Sinking, sinking, sinking. Do you feel like you're just floating in a sea of happiness? Your mind is absolutely saturated with the energy of happiness. And as you sink deeper and deeper, you encounter the river of contentment that flows in you, easily accessed. A moment of silence, a moment of choosing to go inwards deep, and just to feel, I'm here, I'm alive. whoever I am, whatever I am, precious. Whatever is inside of me will be expressed. Then, poof, like a rabbit from the hat, contentment appears, just like magic. Just hold that as you breathe in and out. As you're breathing in and out, I'd like you to select a number between 1 and 4. Whatever number comes first to your mind, just hold that. And now I'm going to reveal the magic wand. Poof! Will reveal by number your secret, your customized inspiration, wizards, magicians, magic to help you stay close to your own contentment. Here we go. Those of you who selected number 1, this is your inspiration, your thought to keep close. Number 1, beauty. Keep your eye on beauty. Hold the awareness that you sparkle with the natural beauty of a peaceful mind, generous heart, and an understanding nature. Take a screenshot of that if you'd like, or I will send so Madhvi has. Those who selected number 1, it's beauty that will help you stay close to contentment. Those who chose number 2, here we go. Appreciative. By celebrating the greatness of others, you become a great soul. So for those who chose number 2, your magic mantra will be to be appreciative, to just notice the greatness in others, the goodness, the kindness, the virtue, the beauty. And by doing that, you will be content. Those who chose number 3, here we go. Faith. This is your magic mantra. This is what will help you stay content. Through the power of unshakable faith in the self, barriers of fear and doubt are replaced by a trust that can move mountains. Beautiful. So those who chose number 3, this is what will help you stay content, is having faith in yourself. You can do it. You can get through it. You can do anything that's required. Look back at your track record. You've got through other things. You will get through this one. Faith. Faith in self. Beautiful. And those who chose number 4, here we go. This is your magic mantra. Harmony. You are a generous soul who considers the pursuit of harmony to be the same as the pursuit of happiness. So by being harmonious with others, creating a sense of harmony in your vibration with others, you will be happy and you will be content. So the magic mantra for those who chose number 4, this is yours. And poof, Om Shanti. Contentment for all of us.
That was absolutely beautiful, Judy. I think everyone's enjoyed it so much. And you see, now you understand why we call this wands, because it's here that you're going to get all the magical tools that you need, spiritual tools, everything. And this is where magic happens. So thank you so much. Yes, we do have a few questions. I wasn't going to give a synopsis of everything you said, because I think, there's lots of questions coming through. And it's interesting. This sister wrote to me anonymously saying, as soon as you started your last meditation, she says, "Henon, I just do not understand the BK meditation method. It is very different to any others. I have taken the course twice. Please, Sister Judy, explain the steps, stroke principles, simply.
Oh, thank you. What a great question. You know, I just love the honesty in that question.
Love
Thank
that.
you, thank you so much for asking that. Look, I can only give you my rendition. When I started meditating, I was with the Buddhists, and in the Buddhist tradition, we watch the breath, you know, and we watch a thought coming by, and we say thought, thought, thought. And I just found that was really tedious because I had so many thoughts. So I was saying thought, thought, thought all the time. It wasn't very interesting for me. But the breath I found very interesting. And so I always start my meditation with breath. And I always start with my body, because I know my mind is racing a million places and I have to bring it back to my body. I start with my body, I start with breath, and I usually start with my heart, just because I think my heart's so important. And it's a link from the physical to the spiritual, right? And then, of course, just visualizing myself as a tiny point of light. It's the awareness that I'm not my body. I am this being, the one who's thinking all the time. And by having that awareness, suddenly I am inside my own inner world. And my inner world is quite beautiful. And so, and that inner world is much deeper than the thoughts of worry and anxiety that are in my mind the rest of the day. So that's the starting point, dear sister who's asked this question. And I'm sure you've heard that in the class. But you know, you just keep coming back because it's quite elusive. It's so subtle. But what we do is, by doing it time and time and time again, it becomes less elusive and it becomes more like home base. Oh yeah, I know how to get there quickly. Oh yeah, back I go. So with practice, it becomes an easy place to access, but it's not at first. That's why we do it every day, as many times a day as we can, so that we make that home base for self. I hope that helps.
I think it's a very good answer. And, let me add on here. If anyone of you, is interested in learning Raj Yoga meditation that we practice and we teach here, please WhatsApp me or message me. And also, you got a choice of my email. I put everything up there. So please write to me and I will send you the necessary links. Okay. Another point, we do have loads of meditations on YouTube. If you type up Brahma Kumari meditations, you will get loads and loads of them. So again, but the key here is practice. And I think this is what Judy said so perfectly, because everyone struggles with certain things, when we start. But please don't give up. Try. I promise you, your life will change. Okay. Lovely. So now let's go to the other questions here. Remember, girls and boys, brothers and sisters, if you want your question to be anonymous, then you just write to hosts and panelists and just say anon, and your name won't be read out, because normally we read out people's names. So Salva is saying, he says, I can see that happiness is essential to contentment and vice versa. Is this how it is?
uh, yes. Yes. I think so, because happiness is more visible to me. Contentment is a more subtle experience, and it's a more internal. And again, the satisfaction, it's when I'm satisfied, right? But when am I most satisfied? When I'm expressing my true self, right? As a consultant, I work with organizations and I work with leaders, and very often leaders and organizations, when they're on track with their purpose, they're at their most successful. As a person, when I'm living my purpose, when I'm doing what I was built to be doing, I am at my happiest, right? So these two things are connected: happiness and expressing my true self, like doing what I was built to do, right? And those are obvious, so I can track them. Less obvious is the result of that, which is contentment.
Mm.
So I hope that helps.
Yes, very good. Excellent.
Mm.
I'm sure it does. Stuart is saying, so Maya will still place obstacles in the way of all of this, but we have to rise above it like a lotus flower. Yes, yes.
Yes, yes, and I see that someone's asked about anger and other emotions. I think that these things come up, of course, because they're buried in us. So when we start to meditate, the surface level becomes nicer. And we think, yes, this really works. And that's great because it gives us incentive to continue. But what we discover as we continue to practice meditation is, ooh, there were things buried underneath the surface that I didn't notice. And they come rushing to the surface. And I think, oh, I must be a failure as a meditator. I'm supposed to be peaceful. I'm a peaceful soul. I'm supposed to be peaceful. And then we put pressure on ourselves and begin to judge ourselves that somehow we're a failure at meditation. When in fact, what's happening is that deeply buried thought about self as failure is emerging and it's coming to the surface. And it was maybe always there, but I didn't notice it quite so clearly. And all of the ways that expresses itself through frustration, disheartenment, sadness, giving up, all the countless things that come out, and they'll come out, but it's okay. Because I know that they're just layers over the surface of the deep, contented soul that is underneath all that noise. And truly, it's only faith that keeps me with it. But it's faith based on understanding, faith based on my own experience that I have glimpsed. I have seen and experienced that deeply contented soul that I am. And I know she's there. I know it's there. So I will keep at it until all the layers, it's like an archaeological dig. All the layers are gone and I'm left with the jewel, the precious thing that was at the bottom. And that's me, the soul.
That's beautiful. And you know, you just feel that even if just for a moment, you've got to hang on to that and practice. Just sit in meditation. And even if you don't go into sort of detailed meditation about qualities, virtues, etc., you know, I think just start with being soul conscious. And then because you've taken the Raj Yoga course, connecting with the Supreme should be the next stage. But I think enough tips here. Okay, Bangkok, just to let you know, you will, okay, the number I've given you, etc. If you try a bit later, you will be able to find me on WhatsApp or Signal, or you can even email us, okay, at Warren's email. I've already put that down there. So lovely question here from Kavita. She's saying, thank you, Sister Judy, for the wise insights over contentment. It is a big topic to churn on. Why this state of contentment fluctuate all the time? Now, this is me saying, I know that you've already shared on that, but this is the question. Some days are super contented and other days are totally disappointed or disappointing, I think is what she means here.
I think, Kavita, if you reflect on those days where you're gone down, the contentment's lost, you will definitely notice that if it wasn't activities you were doing, it will always come back to thoughts you were having. And this is, you have to become a little bit of a scientist with your own mind, right? Or like an accountant who can track where was that lost penny. And somehow they go back and they find it. And I think, how on earth did you have the perseverance, patience, but also the skill, the understanding, where to look for that lost penny? It's the same with happiness. I lose my happiness and it can be a penny. It can be one thought I had 3 days ago when I started noticing that so-and-so was so good at something and I'm not. Puff, penny lost. But what happened was that grew over the 3 days. And then what happens on day 4, I'm having a miserable day. And I don't make any connection between day 4 and that penny, that thought that I had 3 days ago. But what it did is it activated a deep inner discontent in me. that fed over 3 days, and suddenly I have a disappointing day.
Mm.
Does that make sense? Again, it's about tracking, right? The times when I'm on track with myself, I will feel content. And of course, we're not a lot. And that's okay. Because this is a school and we're learning, we're becoming wiser about self. And the more I become wise about my own process, I will then be able to help others, because I will see, I will help them see where they lost their happiness. We don't have to go shopping today to get our happiness back. We could just sit and have a cup of tea and reflect. It'll be there.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. So everyone's really appreciated the mantras you've shared, etc. Joanna, though, is saying, I didn't understand clearly the meaning of the word redirect, the way you used it.
Yeah.
Please explain.
So again, using the magic act. If you've ever seen one, I've only been to a couple, but he will, the rabbit in the hat is the one I'm using here, right? So he's got a hat. That's the introduction. Here's my hat. You see my hat. He turns it upside down. He taps his magic wand on the hat, turns it so you can see inside there's nothing, right? Right? See it, see it, see it. And then he'll do something that will like just for a split second, draw your attention away from the hat. And in that moment, I don't know how he does it, the rabbit's there. It's the same with card tricks. Your attention gets redirected. The person saying, now choose your card. And he goes clap, clap on the card deck. And in that clap, clap, something happened, but you were paying attention to. So the redirect actually means if I sit here all day and focus on contentment, I probably won't get it. But if I'm going about living my life and making sure that I'm doing the things that make me happy, making sure throughout the day I check and change. Oh, I'm not happy. What's wrong? My thoughts are off track. That's the redirect, by getting myself, keeping myself occupied. I won't say busy, but occupied and paying attention to my happiness. What will happen is contentment, a deep sense of satisfaction, poof, will emerge like the rabbit in a hat. How did that happen? Suddenly I'm content. And that's been my experience with Raj Yoga, is that I didn't start content. And there are lots of times where I'm not content now because that inner drive is still there so much. And what I have to check with myself is, when is that drive a need to express a core quality? And when is it, ego or something more superficial striving to be expressed? And I can tell the difference. And when it's ego, I just like put it aside and I get quiet, and then I'm fine again. So I can redirect myself back to contentment. But the redirect, as I was using it, Joanna, was pay attention to making sure my thoughts, words, and actions are on track all day. So I feel happy. And at the end of the day, contentment will be there, like the rabbit. I hope that helps.
I love Judy, there's one thing I've got to say, and really well done to you for that, because you're sharing so much from the self. And I tell you, that is the most, to me, that is the most helpful thing, because many of our sisters and brothers think that, we suddenly are here. Of course, we all still work in progress, but trust me, we've all gone through all the stages. Some take a little longer on stage 1, then maybe stage 2, but I promise you the magic will happen. It depends on your determination to practice, to carry on with it. But I can assure you that it does happen, and it will happen. And that's our promise to you.
It is happening. It's the best way to think of it. It is happening. It's not a before and after thing. It is happening. Can I see it? That's why the river underground is such a good metaphor, because it is flowing, whether I notice it or not.
That's the point, I think, that you will notice it after a while, and that's okay. Everything is good. But like Judy said, the river is flowing. It is there. And
it's happening.
Yes, it is. It's happening. But, you may not realize it until after some practice, because for all of us, that's what it was. Certainly for me, initially, I didn't sort of think I'd achieved anything. It took me over a year. But then suddenly I woke up and I thought, I recognize that. Yes. So, there's always a aha moment or a aha day, but please don't get discouraged and try and just keep up with the practice. So one sister's asking, how can we get in touch? Stroke, workshops, newsletter with Sister Judy. Just to let you know, of course, Judy can send me anything and everything that she may be doing, and I can forward that on to you. But brothers and sisters, I need your specific permission that you want to receive this information, because I am bound by our European laws, GDPR, where I can send out only certain things. So please make it clear. And if Sister Judy is happy to share her email with you all, I'm quite happy to do that. A big thank you to Judy as well for so lovingly and willingly offered to share the PowerPoint presentation, because it's a really powerful one. Okay, so Tanvir is asking, she has a question about deep and profound sadness. I accept the feelings when they are there, but do you have any suggestions to deal with the intensities, please? Very good question. Thank you for being so brave and asking this, Tanvir. Well done.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know about you, Matthew, but I know for me, sadness has always been there. And I think sadness can be buried under overactivity. Sadness can be buried under anger, frustration, many, many other things. And I think on this journey, this meditation journey, what I've discovered is that I have used many, many other behaviors and other experiences to, because it's too hard to be with sadness. So I applaud your courage for acknowledging its presence. I don't think it's an enemy. I actually think it's like an old friend that needs to have a special, chair next to me in the sitting room of my heart. And I just quietly accept that it's there. And I show it a lot of compassion and a lot of love. But I don't overstate it. I don't indulge in sadness, but I know that it is there, and it's there for good reason. There have been losses, there have been disappointments, there have been hurts, there have been many, many, many things in the life of a soul, many of which I don't even remember. And so sadness is there because it's left a residue, those experiences. And the residue is sadness, but it is not me. It is a companion on my journey, and it needs to be, I guess it needs the attention of kindness and compassion, but not to spend all my time with it.
And just to add to that, we have Dr. Sarah Eager next month, and she's talking about self-compassion, and I think you might find that very helpful. Also, we had a wonderful session by Margaret Barron, and she'd given us that beautiful model, Tanvir, you might remember, that would help us analyze what we're feeling and how to move on, etc. Okay, all the triggers. So you might want to go and, I think you've been with us, so you've got a copy of that recording. You might want to go back, yeah, and just hear that once again. Okay, another question from Nisha. I think this is Nisha from Germany. Om Shanti, thank you for the wonderful insights. By practicing being soul conscious, it doesn't mean we don't experience feelings of fear or anger anymore over the time. I started BK meditation, but every time when I feel these emotions, I believe that they shouldn't arise. Is that so?
Oh, what a great question. I remember feeling like that. And even now, sometimes, the self-judgment, I shouldn't be feeling this. I think that's the lesson for me on this journey, is that harsh voice of judgment towards self, I shouldn't be feeling this feeling, is beginning to soften. And the volume is going down on that voice inside of me, which I associate with greater contentment. The two are growing hand in hand. That loud voice is getting quieter as my contentment is growing. And they're going to pass like ships in the night, and I know which one's going to win. It's contentment. So yes, these things will come up. They definitely will. That doesn't mean I'm doing anything wrong or I'm bad. It means that I've got those things in me, and they've been sort of maybe pushed down over a long period of time, and they're going to come out. It's like a detox. You know, they're going to come out, but they're going to come out to go. And they're going to come out for me to see them and to choose contentment every time. I am not going to let you get me, you voice of judgment. But it does, maybe sometimes for days on end. And then I come back and go, oh, got me again. I'm not going there. Right. And each time I get stronger, each time contentment rises and the voice shrinks. So I don't know if that's helpful, but yeah, don't, you know, judging yourself, it's just kind of what we do. I'm not even going to say don't do it, because we do it. But understand when you're doing that, that's a voice that you've got inside of you that isn't your true self. It's a voice of judgment and criticism. And it will diminish. The volume on that voice will go down the more your contentment grows.
So much to do with self-love and self-compassion. Okay, I think the next question sort of ties up with that. Anonymous question: the art of serving and helping others leads to inner contentment. Would this be the correct thing to say? I can hear contentment in Sister Judy's voice. She's serving and helping from her heart. Thank you thank you for the class. But sister, I would also say that, you know, the serving and helping others, of course, is there. But what about serving and helping yourself? I think that has to also be there. Very important part. I would probably say it's the first thing. Judy, would you like to add something to that?
Thank you. Good question. I know we have very short time, Madhvi. I would say that the two go together for me. That I don't ever think about serving others, actually. I think of being in the kind of conversation that makes me come alive. And this is a conversation that makes me come alive. So I'm not here thinking in any way I'm serving. I'm actually here thinking what a golden opportunity for me to be inside a meaningful conversation that makes me shine and feel really content inside. So when the two go hand in hand, we're at our happiest. But definitely giving, being with others, making others happy makes me happy too. So again, they go hand in hand, right?
Isn't that absolutely lovely? And oh, by the way, just to let you know, Judy has very kindly put in the email for you know, the daily thoughts. Okay, so you might want to subscribe directly, because one of the things we are discouraged from doing is to send out things like that. I used to do that very much before the GDPR, but we can't really do that. Big thanks from Elia to everyone saying, especially you, Judy, that thank you so much for your honesty. It is refreshing to hear that you also have low episodes. And best wishes to all of you, all of us, and absolutely lovely. Don't think that everything we share here, remember, we are all work in progress ourselves, okay? So everything we're sharing is usually from our own experience. I don't know if you'd agree with that, Judy, but yeah, it comes from your own, because you've gone through it, etc. And of course, somebody like Judy is, you know, you can see she's a professional presenter and a counselor, etc. That brings me on to one of these questions that was asked here. Judy, if anyone wants to, I know you said you work as a counselor, you know, sort of institutions, etc. If somebody wants to contact you privately, would you be happy to take on anything? Would you like us to forward your email? I'm asking in front of everyone so that it's on record.
You know, it's leadership coaching and development inside organizations. So a little bit different than, say, what Sarah might do, which would be individual counseling. I don't really do the individual counseling, except in the context of the BK Center when people come for spiritual chit chat, you know? So yeah, that's what I do.
That is really lovely what you've just shared. And also to let you know that, there is, I know many of you have asked this of many of our speakers, but you've got to understand, it's more about spiritual chit chat here. Okay. Yeah, lovely comments here from Mark. Wonderful learning curve, Judy and Madhvi. Yes, super, excellent. Thank you all so much. Geeta is saying, thank you, Madhvi and Judy, feeling so peaceful now. And BK Philippines is saying, thank you, Sister Judy, always helpful. Yes, she is, isn't she?
Hey, Philippines.
Oh, I tell you, we've got centers actually listening in. So I think it's amazing, and Salva, thanks to you and all your lovely questions. I'm just going to quickly scroll down and see. Okay, so some of you are saying you want me to send you the messages or whatever, but I will only send you things and I will give you information of how you can subscribe directly. Of course, I mean, I might, she can add me on, which is fine. I'd be very happy to, because I'm giving her officially permission here. But understand that for legal reasons, I need an official sort of permission from you. And of course, we have so many people who are subscribed to WANs, and not all of you are here. So I can't just take that as a sample, if you see what I mean. Again,
I will send you, Madhvi. I will send you. Thank you to everyone. I know we're ending now. I just want to say thank you
no,
to
we've still
everyone.
got a few minutes. I still need to say a couple of things. Again, there are a couple of people here who are still saying, please write to us. If you want recordings, you need to subscribe, and please, you need to contact me. I am not just going to send you anything. I'm not allowed to. Like I've been saying again and again, it's to do with the law, okay, the European law. And I have already told you, Sujata, I've given you my number. If you scroll up, I've also put the Vaughn's email down. I will write that again before we leave. But please, you guys need to contact me and I will send you the subscription links. It's very important you understand this. I cannot just send anything to anyone, even if you've got something written on chat. I hope that's okay. Just to let me let you all know, for next Tuesday, we have another wonderful topic, emotional independence. And our speaker is the program director of Global Corporation House, Maureen Goodman. So if you haven't heard her, all I can say is you are in for a treat. Thanks to Brother Anna, thanks to all of you who've really taken out precious time to join us from all over the world, whatever time it is. So that's our Brother Anna. Thank you. And Judy, what can I say except big, heartfelt thank you to you. And sorry, I'm just being interrupted. Sister, I have also sent you my Juan's email. I've explained to you WhatsApp doesn't always immediately show up the contact. You need to give it time, number one. And please write to me at once. And I'm just going to type that up for you. But Judy, a quick question. Would you like to just end with a 1 minute of meditation or something? It's up to you. We don't have to because you've already done it, but it's up to you.
I think people are leaving, so yeah.
So it's best. Okay.
Yeah, best. Yeah.
So let's just end with a lot of love. I'm just going to type up the address here. If you got a last word to say to everyone, Judy.
I just want to say thank you to Madhvi for being such a stupendous host.
Oh,
such a royal, elegant, and loving host. Just makes I would make me want to come back. So come back, everybody, next week.
yes, and also, with Wands, we tend to do long-term bookings. So but I know that I'll be able to offer you something in November, if that's okay with you. And we just want to see more of you as well, Judy. I think you're an amazing soul. And I was saying to you earlier before the meeting, that it's a shame that she comes here. When she comes to the UK, I just didn't have enough time, to connect with her properly. So anyway, everyone, take care. Om Shanti, as we say, and looking forward to welcoming you next week. And please convey our love to Canada, everyone in Halifax, in fact, the whole of Canada. And we send you lots of love, lots of blessings. See you all next week. Om Shanti. Om Shanti.